Right, I did not grab it out of there. It's me.
All right,
That was on me, guys.
that's okay.
There you go.
Okay. We call this meeting of the Red Oak City Council to order. This Monday, June 2nd already, 2025, 5:30 PM here at the Red Oak Fire Station located at 1904 North Broadway. The meeting is open to the public and it is being recorded via Zoom. Invocation by Pastor Ray Simmons with the Ascension Reformed Church. Pastor, if you'd like to come to the podium.
Let's pray. Father, your word says this in Psalm 72. Give the king thy judgments, O God, and thy righteousness unto the king's son. He shall judge thy people with righteousness and thy poor with judgments. The mountain shall bring peace to the people, and the little hills by righteousness. He shall judge the poor of the people. He shall save the children of the needy, and shall break in pieces the oppressors. He shall come down like rain upon the mown grass, as showers that water the earth. And Father, we do agree with this psalm. We know that you are the one who gives judgment to the rulers. We thank you for revealing to us that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And so I ask for this council, these people whom you have appointed to our city, to protect them and to help them to protect the city and to promote the good and to punish the evil as you've commanded. We agree with this psalm, Father, that you want us to save the children and to break down the oppressor. And then your rain will come down like rain upon a mown grass, a sign of your goodness, beauty, and peace. Father, I also pray for unity here with the city council. Like with gaining truth, we need your help with gaining and maintaining unity. And the type of unity you call for is not one of compromise of standards, but of grace and peace. Only you can bring this. Help us, Father, not to seek this in our own power. We pray for our city, for the more than 6,000 souls that you have created and brought to this town. May they seek your peace through your Son, who is the only one who can bring peace on earth and peace between God and man. Please bless the families, the fathers, the mothers, the grandparents. Bless the children and keep them safe and happy. And bless Red Oak, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
When you go that way.
Oh, yes. Sharon, would you lead us in the pledge?
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Ashley?
Bradley.
Here.
Bill.
Here.
Right off.
Here.
Hebring.
Here.
Number 5, approve of the agenda, of the agenda.
I move to approve.
Right off
I'll second.
and Bradley. Roll call.
Bill.
Yes.
Right off.
Yes.
Hebring.
Yes.
Bradley. Yes.
Number 6, proclamation and special notices. I don't believe we have any this time. Number 7, public comments. I might remind that you have 3-minute limit and you must sign in here at the front. Please come to the podium, state your name and address. And Ashley will be timing. At 30 seconds remaining, she will hold up the sign and then just ask that everybody remain courteous and kind. So we have 3 speakers.
Is there room for one more?
You
I
did
showed up
just-
right.
Yeah, you did. You walked in right at,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Here, just put your name on the list. Absolutely. Yeah. Who's the fifth on the list?
Bennett Archer.
Anyone?
Wait till he gets done.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, go ahead.
Okay, guys, I'm here not because I want to be, but because I have to be. I had to make a Facebook post today, to let people see what happened. I'm not sure.
Name and address.
Oh, sorry, Bennett Archer. I live at 1505 Birchwood Drive here in Red Oak since 2021. So anyway, to make it short, on Thursday I went on vacation. My girlfriend Natalie lives with me. She's a witness. She gave our dogs a bath, took our collars off them, put them in the backyard, which is fenced in completely. They've never gotten out of our backyard on their own. A young child let our dogs out, opened the fence. We have talked to her mother. We know this is a fact. The dogs were recovered around the 1200 block of Hammond Street. I have a 3.5-year-old golden retriever named Minnie. She's the nicest soul, sweetest soul I've ever known. And our 1.5-year-old basset hound Kevin. And they were together, they stick together. So no, they didn't have collars on. I didn't know they needed to be registered with the city, so we've taken care of that since this happened. Yesterday, I get home from vacation. Natalie's been super busy with work. She's a nurse, she sleeps and works. That's about it right now. I get home and see that the whites of Minnie's eyes are completely full of blood. And I'm right away, I brings a tear to my eye. I'm wondering what happened to her. And then I remember that she was probably caught with a chokehold. So I called him today again and asked him for his honest answer if he used a chokehold on my dog. He told me that she slipped the pole once and he had to use more force. I should have recorded the call. I don't know why this happened, why he did this to her. You could, I don't care what you look like, what you're driving, you could pull up and tell her to get in the vehicle, maybe use a treat, and she would get right in. I understand he's probably new, is my understanding, and I don't know what training he goes through. But this can't happen again. Where does this stop? When somebody's dog is laying lifeless with a choke pole around it? Oak Valley is our care provider for these dogs. They're up to date on shots. They compliment us on how polite our dogs are. And I sent them those images and they showed the doctor and said they cannot believe the extent of the damage. I hope that this doesn't cause permanent damage to her eyes or her vision. She's currently at home as happy as ever, but her eyes are completely full of blood. I have pictures and images that they bring a tear to my eye, and I can show you guys tonight. It's been posted. Over 200 people have reacted to this in 9 hours. 60 people have shared this post. I click on those people's profiles. More people have shared it. There are so many people that say this guy should lose his job. I'm done. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brennan. Karen Blue?
Karen Blue, I live at 606 Sunset in Red Oak, been there 50 years. And I was on the council for about 8 years, so I understand the decision-making process. However, what I want to protest tonight, or at least complain and question, is what I consider an unrealistic charge to license a tree trimmer and make it a requirement. I think $200 is completely unacceptable. I even question why we have to have licensed tree trimmers in the city of Red Oak. Why can't we just get someone? It's up to the homeowner or the person getting them to check and see if they have insurance. Even if I knew if they had licenses when I hired the person that I got, I would have still checked, make sure that they had insurance that would cover the work that was being done. And so I just wish that when you get to that section, if you're going to pass the ordinance, you be sure that that is what you want. And then when you set the fee for that ordinance, whether you consider $200 a realistic amount. I would say if you're gonna start doing that in the city of Red Oak, $50 max for a license to do that. I don't know what you are going to give the person that has the license to make it worth that much money. Obviously, in terms of how you are enforcing a lot of the ordinances, when you drive around town and you see tree limbs that are too low, you see grass that is too high, you see cars parked over the sidewalks, which is an ordinance against that, and sheds in the backyard that have no permits. You're not particularly good about enforcement. So I think perhaps you need to work on the enforcement before you work on the fees. And I just question whether charging someone $200 is going to make them a better tree trimmer. I was more concerned with how good they were going to do and how they were going to leave my yard. And a license was not going to make any difference. And in the future, I will not have a tree. But right now, I would not hire someone just because they were licensed in the town of Red Oak. I do not
30
think that
seconds.
that is a necessary thing that you have to get into. So just be sure of what you're doing and that you can take care of enforcing the ordinances that you put in place. Be easy to have someone come on weekends when you don't have someone enforcing, and we can still have people that are unlicensed.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Lynette?
Yeah, I have a question mark, right?
Yeah.
I'm just here to say that I'm here to personally volunteer for the citywide cleanup. I'm not gonna come out my business, because we've talked about it before, but I just want you to know that, I know you and I've talked, but I know we didn't get together today, but anyway, I wanted the council and the people to know that I am here. That's my time, that's the kind of people I am. We are.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Lynette. All right. Christian Terry?
Yep. Good.
Yes.
I just want to start with saying my name's Christian Terry. This is my first time ever attending something like this. I rushed from work straight to here. My main concern today is with my buddy Bennett, his dog getting loose. I live at 1009 Sherwood Lane, just catty corner to him. I know the dog. I deal with at least 100 dogs per day. And I've not seen a yellow lab or a golden retriever that won't come to you with a hot dog or a treat. So I don't know why we're using excessive force with a pole and a noose. I know a lot of times that can make dogs scared and nervous and want to run from you. And if the dog's not aggressive and not bugging anybody in the public, I mean, where do we stop with that? Do we just go ahead and injure somebody's dog, or do we stop, where do we hold the city accountable? Is it when the dog dies, or is it when the dog's injured, or when is it? So that's my main concern. And then another main concern of mine in Red Oak is just with how high our taxes are. I own 2 properties. I'm one of the handful of 27-year-olds that are investing back into our community. Our taxes are like the highest in the state, compared to everywhere else around. It seems like we're focusing on trash and other things, whereas we need to be focusing on jobs. I go to every town around here. Red Oak's as clean as they come. I don't like the trash bill. I don't like, the FMTC boxes that got dug up in my yard. I'm to the point where I'm about to choose another town to start investing in. Thanks.
Christian, what was your address?
1009 Sherwood Lane.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, thank you, folks. Number 8, department reports. We don't have any. Number 9 is consent agenda. I would accept a motion to approve the minutes of the city council meeting on 5/19/25 and the special meeting on 5/27/25. Liquor licenses for the annual license for the Firehouse Lopez LLC, doing business as the Firehouse. And then tobacco licenses for both Casey's locations, the Dollar General, Fairway, Hy-Vee Wine and Spirits, Lincoln Farm and Home, Puffs and More, Sam Food Mart, and Williams Rec, and also the June 2nd claims to be paid.
Did we, is Puffs and More, is this the second?
This is the second or third?
Second, I thought, right? They're located downtown.
I think this is their third. I believe this is their third. I believe it's their third.
Okay.
The other one was on the corner, and I don't think they're any longer there. Yeah, they're no longer there.
You making that motion, Sharon?
Yes, I'll move to approve.
Okay,
I'll second it.
Bradley and Heat Brink.
Can you please ask people to be quiet?
Can I get everybody to be quiet? Thank you. All right, so Bradley and Heat Brink, roll call.
Right off,
Yes.
Hebring,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Number 10 is open public hearing on the proposed development agreement with Lorette Funeral Chapel Incorporated. So I would open this public hearing at 5:44. Are there any public comments?
None.
And none online? Okay. All right. I close this meeting at 5:45. And then number 12 is resolution 2025-63, approving the development agreement with Lorette Funeral Chapel Incorporated, authorizing annual appropriation tax increment payments and pledging certain tax increment revenues to the payment of the agreement.
Move to approve the resolution.
Right off.
A second.
Bills. Any further discussion? Other than we just want to again thank the Lorettes for your investment in the community, and you are a critical and essential service. So we thank you for your business.
Thank you, folks, too.
Thank you.
Looks like lots going on out there right at the moment. I drove out there yesterday, pretty impressive looking.
It is impressive.
Yeah.
It went up.
I didn't scare you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Best people.
All right, I have a first by Fred up, a second by Bills. Roll call.
Hebring,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
right off.
Yes.
Number 13 is resolution 2025-65 to hire the contractors for the citywide drop-off cleanup days for June 20th and 21st, 2025. This will take place from 8 to 4 on both days at the Red Oak or at the Montgomery County Fairgrounds. And Lisa explained the proposed contractors, which would include the Shenandoah Sanitation for the general waste disposal, Cross Electric Recycling for electronic e-waste, Doval Appliance for appliance disposal, and Champlin Tire for tire collection and disposal, and then Frederickson Iron Recycling for scrap and metal recycling. So this will be a lot more than I think we've done in the past. So anybody have any other? Guess you'll have to make a motion and then we can talk about it. Anybody has any?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Bills?
I can't make a comment, Kevin. I know, I always do, don't I?
Second.
Right off. Further discussion?
So the plan again is 2 8-hour days. Alex is here from Shenandoah. We've met out there just to kind of talk about how we'll set it up. I've started to prepare Facebook posts to advertise the event. Obviously, one of the biggest things is making sure that people understand they do need to prove that they're either a resident or a property owner. So a lot of times you'll hear people say residents, but with the high volume of rentals that we have, that kind of makes it unique for Red Oak, that we also need to make sure that as long as you own a parcel, even if you're cleaning it up, that somehow you're gonna have to, you know, like bring us something off a beacon that you own it and then show your ID. If you're a property owner from Stanton or Villisca or wherever, Shenandoah. So that we make sure we're planning to post a route to come in. I've talked to the school, so we're gonna encourage people to come in on 8th Street, head west through the parking lots of the school or on Sunset there. Then go north on 4th, west on Alix, and then come in on the gravel, kind of by the park office there, and then they'll come in from that way so that we have double car traffic once you get off of a city street. So you'll be in a single line. We'll most likely block off with signage at Broadway and Alix. Obviously, we need to let people get into Dollar General and to the nursing home there, but that we won't let people enter the line that way, so nobody can get off Broadway and back up that way. Then the street that's right here, that is unnamed, we'll also block that off, so nobody can try to come in that way, and we won't let people come in on this end of that street. So you'll have to go in, come in that way. We're planning to probably put the tires on the fenced-in area where they do the demo derby. So you'll actually have, that'll be your last stop with tires. Most likely, you know, set up the actual disposal will be right when you drive into the right. Shenandoah will have a number of people there. We're planning on city offices being closed that day. All hands on deck. I'm gonna order t-shirts so that everybody sticks out, like if you need help or whatever. I met with John Gross. He's willing to do 3 or 4 guys that he has trucks and trailers. We're trying to work on some high school kids that'll be able to help them. I've also talked to a number of business people. Specifically, I've talked to 3 so far, which is Scott Wilson, Justin Miner, and Scott Allensworth, who all, because of their business, have trucks and trailers. And I've asked each of them, as their part of helping us clean up, if we are advertising for people to be able to come and sign up to get stuff picked up at their house if they're handicapped, elderly, or physically unable to get it here, that we're gonna allow people to call in. You have to get on the list. You can't just leave it out at the curb. You have to get on our schedule, first come, first serve. Can't guarantee if 10 people sign up or 200 people sign up. So we'll be doing that as a way to help clean up. And then starting tomorrow, we're planning on Pat going basically throughout the whole town. We'll start in the center of town and work our way out. We're gonna have one of our summer employees who works in maintenance go with him, so that we'll have a letter that says, you know, you're on the nuisance radar. You're not officially, you know, being served a notice, but then put a flyer in there about the cleanup and then hang something on their door. So that basically there's no ifs, ands, or buts. The people who really are part of our concern about cleaning things up are fully aware of the day. On the utility bills, we'll talk about utility bill printing, but on there, each bill will have a sticker that says Citywide Cleanup, June 2021. Doesn't have our ability to get a lot of information, but hopefully that stimulates people to be able to look into it further. I've talked to both KMA and KCSI and getting prices from them to do ads on the radio the week before and the week of. Again, if we're gonna try to do it right, I think we have to spend more on advertising than some of the things we normally do. Then we'll take out an ad in the Express. So those 3 avenues, obviously we'll talk about it on the radio as well, but we'll have actual ads that we'll pay for a few times a week for those 2 weeks. And then a big Facebook campaign. So I think, you know, by showing you that we have 4 companies other than Shenandoah Sanitation, we're doing our best to divert anything that we can away from the landfill and try to be able to recycle it. In terms of both, Champlin Tire will come on Monday with as many semis as they need, either 1 or 2. They say if I take a picture, they'll be able to tell. And then with regard to Frederickson, Doval, and Cross Electronics, the reason that we signed up with all of them is that they're willing to stay in touch with us on Friday afternoon, and any chance that anything is filled up before the end of the day, they all have the ability to come in, take their trucks, take their whatever it is that we've collected and get it out and start again on Monday with empty containers. The plan with Shenandoah is they'll have drivers there with 2 rear load trucks. So the 2 rear load trucks will be things that need to get smashed and would take up a lot of room in the roll-offs. So anything like a couch, for example, they could put that in the rear load, be able to smash it down. And as soon as the first rear load is full, they'll head to Malvern to empty it. If the roll-off is full, they'll get the roll-off driver to take it and get to Malvern, so that we always have containers there that are empty. And within an hour and a half, whatever's full, they'll be back and empty again. There may be a chance that on Saturday, we don't have the ability before the landfill closes to get everything off site. So in our agreement with the fairgrounds, they knew that final cleanup may take place on Monday. Okay, I don't know if Alex has anything to add or if you guys have any questions for him. But he's coming to our staff meeting tomorrow to be able to meet with staff and just kind of go over the details of kind of manpower that he thinks we need. We're also going to, if we do get people to sign up for the pickup, I think we'll have 1 staff person assigned to that crew. They'll be able to come in on a separate way. They'll probably come in Broadway in front of the fire station here and do a back entrance, just like their trucks will have a back entrance, so that we're not cross trafficking with the normal citizens, so they can get in and out quickly. And then our kind of, my vision, again, depending on how many people bite on the pickup, is, you know, get clipboards, send off every driver with a list, try to keep them organized to either a certain area, so they're not all driving opposite ends of town. And then if they get, say, 5, if we get enough that they get 5, they come back, give them another 5, however it works, that will kind of keep them in chunks. And then we're also gonna make sure that people understand that if they have pickup, someone must be present who's an adult. They have to tell us what it is that they have. We're not just showing up and not knowing what it is. They'll sign off that they agreed that we took this garbage from their house. It has to be outside. We're not going in people's houses. It has to be, you know, it can be in their yard, not at the curb, but they must be home. And so hopefully it'll work smoothly. And if any of you, you know, want to help, I know like we had a busy day today, but I let Lynette know that, if she's willing to help, we'll have her down at the site with us. And then also Kevin Carlisle, he also offered that he would probably be able to come on Friday with a truck and a trailer. So he would be more on the crew of going out. I basically just said to everybody that's willing, for the next 2 weeks, we're gonna try to hammer on getting people signed up, and then we'll know more in a couple of weeks, hopefully the beginning of the week of the event. You know, again, do we have 2 or 200? Okay.
Are we gonna put stipulations on how many tires people can bring down? Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's 270, well, we're not gonna let them bring like big old tractor trailer or
Right.
anything. So it's $275 a ton. And they told me that 75 to 80 tires is a ton. if you just get regular vehicles, so they're about $3 a piece. So in the spirit of, do we say, you know, certainly the council can say that. But I guess, like, we own a property that, one of our properties on Fourth Avenue that we're working on cleaning up as a city crew. And like, if you open up the garage of what was left for us, there's 6 tires in there.
Right.
You know, so at that point, it's like, all right, do we just take them and like, and just bare our souls that we're just gonna make this whatever it is, and we can always go back in a future event to be able to, but if people are willing to come and bring them.
Yeah.
I just feel like, you know, I suppose if, you know, like I'm saying in the brochures that I'm creating, like, for example, small construction debris, small projects, and then I say no large construction. So if somebody showed up with an entire house that they just demoed, we're not taking it,
Right.
like, you're gonna get turned away. But if you were, I think when Alex and I talked, like, if you just remodel the bathroom, you know, or things like that, and you're bringing that, then that's fine, but. You know, I suppose what we could do is maybe we just put a disclosure on the bottom of the forms on everyone that says like, you know, the city does have a right to reject any excessive, something like that. So it's like, you know,
I think
some
that's a good idea.
Next,
crazy person comes up with,
next one for me is appliances. How many appliances are we willing to take?
Doles don't care. We're gonna pay them
Okay.
$5 an appliance.
Now, let's say we're doing pickup of appliances. That means they have to be at the curb
Or
or,
they have to be somewhere in the yard, like where they can
Okay.
get at them easily.
so I mean, I would hate for a volunteer to hurt their back as they're trying to load somebody's chest freezer or
Right.
washer dryer.
And maybe we can ask Chris, like, if we can get some, appliance dollies, things like that, or maybe I think you can rent them different
Right.
places, so maybe we go rent them, so at least we're, you know, if we say, and that's what I'm saying, like, we're gonna be interviewing people, like, on the phone that call for a pickup, like, we need to know exactly what you have. So
Right?
maybe it makes more sense that someone drives and grabs the tires or grabs the appliances.
We have to really make it clear. So if we have a person says, yeah, I have a old washer dryer down in the basement. I need help getting it up. We are not gonna help with that. They have to figure out.
You will have to
themselves get out
find
there.
someone who can get it outside of your house, and then we will come and grab it.
And it's,
Yeah.
I'll cover that.
Exactly, and the other thing is I don't want anybody getting hurt, and
Yeah.
especially if we have volunteers going to these houses.
Right.
And next question is how do people in the public become a volunteer? How do
So
we
I was
get
planning on, like, I basically have like 5 or 6 pictures that'll go in the post.
Okay.
So it'll say, and we're not gonna worry about like getting to the site yet, that'll be like when we get to the week of.
Right.
But basically I was saying like, you know, a general advertisement, if you need pickup and if you wanna volunteer.
Okay.
Was kind of my thoughts, and then like one that just talks about like, what we'll take. Like, if you look at the cross electronics thing, like, I can't list everything on a flyer. So I figured it would say like in the post itself, not in the picture, it'll say, click here for a list of e-waste. And then I put everything in a Word document that we can have on the website, and it can just say, click here to see that, because again, you can't. So it's like my flyers say, you know, furniture, appliances, paint, tires, small construction debris, garbage.
So now there's my next question. I'm full of them right now. So let's say a person does not have trash pickup and they've been stockpiling in their garage for a half a year. How much are we gonna take of that?
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna have these volunteers and we have this person that does not take it to the trash and they're waiting for this cleanup now,
Well, we're not gonna go pick up trash at people's houses.
well, hold on, this is citywide cleanup.
And
Don't they
maybe
have
we
to bring
say,
it to the dumpsters?
Well, I mean, if they have it at, let's say they have their whole front yard and orange garbage bags. We pick up that full front yard.
That's not what we're doing this time. We're having a dump that I'm aware of. We're having a trash.
Where we got.
if we're trying, okay, so I think it would be fair to say my thoughts, like when Tim and John and I all met Friday. I think that for the pickup, we are not coming to get people's household trash that has
Yes, okay.
maggots because it's 90 degrees.
Yes.
Making sure on that.
I, however, do not think that we should be saying no.
Yes.
If they wanna bring it there, what are we trying to do? We're trying to clean up our town.
Right,
And there are people that have that. Like, we jacked somebody up today who admitted, because what did Lynette and Kevin teach us? Why do they have garbage piled up, Lynette? Because they stopped paying you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what.
So that's exactly what it was.
That's what I'm getting at. If they have it at the curb, under these stipulations, if they have it at the curb, if we have volunteers and they're
No.
unable,
Or not, but see, this is the thing, like, to be on the list, you have to talk to us.
yeah.
And that's
So
what
we're gonna
they-
say, we are not taking trash bags. You can bring them and we will take
Yeah.
them, but we are not picking them up. The intent of the pickup is like big bulky things
Right.
that you cannot stick in the back
So
of your
if you
vehicle.
have a person that says, I'm incapable of taking it, and they have a whole yard full, we will be picking, our volunteers will be picking it up.
So the first time we
Not
talked
bad.
about this, we talked about going around and picking up trash, and we decided on this first time around, we're gonna have a drop off. And as far as picking up appliances at people's houses, that's something that was arranged separately, but as far as us and the cleanup, we decided on that first time around that we were gonna have a drop off and not a go around town pickup. We might do that later on, but we decided on the first time around, it's gonna be a
We're
drop.
not gonna have a curbside, but we also said that the reality of having a drop off is that there are people that simply can't get their stuff there.
Right.
And so if the goal,
Well, that'd be the volunteers then, right?
if we,
Yes, that's
if we
what
all
we meant.
agreed, what was our number one goal? It's strategic planning. Everyone has voted to clean up the town.
Well,
So we might as well just go all out and try to like.
Right.
there's
and our
been-
nuisance officer, he'll be able to identify that if they go around in the beginning, correct?
My plan is he goes up and down every street and then behind on an alley. And he comes back and anybody that has anything on the exterior that looks like it should be brought to the site, they're gonna have a door hanger. We have plastic baggies that have a circle on it. Inside it'll be a letter, which I have to print tonight, and a flyer about the event.
When are you gonna put, I mean, we pick up trash in certain areas on Fridays, and so does Kevin, I know, so that's why I was getting at.
But I feel like we know if it's just regular garbage.
Okay.
Like, we're not saying if it looks like, you know, like there's 4 houses on our city hall alley. And like, it doesn't grow every week. Like, it looks like on Mondays, like when I came here, like, it's tipped over and there's bags, but like somewhere, I don't know what day it is, when you go up and down the alley in city hall, but all of a sudden, it's not there anymore. It's not like it just keeps growing.
Okay.
So I think we have to say, like, if it looks like a normal week, we're not giving them a flag.
Well, and aside from that,
You're
like
not
I
gonna pick
said,
it up.
we're gonna have their names and addresses down of who's going to have a volunteer at the house to pick up their stuff, so. It's not like anybody sees something on the curb, they're gonna stop.
Oh,
and
yeah,
pick
is
it
that
up.
what you meant? Like what we're gonna pick up? Or you
It
just
will
saying who's
be
gonna get
identified.
tagged?
Yeah, I guess who's getting tagged, or no, I know who gets picked up, I just didn't want.
You have to call in advance. If anybody's stuff is outside, you have to call us. I'm creating a
Yeah, I
form.
didn't want you picking up. Oh,
We're not, like, if they
Okay.
say, I just have regular trash, we're gonna say we're not picking it. That's not what the intent is, to become the garbage.
right.
Yeah.
You get to be the garbage
Exactly.
lady.
Yeah.
We're not trying to be the garbage lady.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
you know, like, this is meant to be
Right.
legit. There are people that don't have the physical ability or the physical space in a vehicle that they own to get stuff there.
Okay.
I know that I had somebody ask me about hazardous materials, which I've never seen in any city anywhere that they take that kind of stuff. Then Lynette and I chatted over the weekend about it. And you have to have a license, so that's the main thing. It'll say no hazardous waste, no large debris. Are like the main things it'll say.
I do think.
Are we having an area for paint cans?
So John Gross offered to bring a trailer and he will take all the paint cans and he claims that he has a warehouse that he can dry them out in because you can't put them in if it's a can of paint, so.
Yeah, there's different kinds of paint,
Mm-hmm.
some paint does not dry. Okay. Never mind.
We can say no.
I don't, exactly.
Hey, Don.
Ideal.
Hey, Don.
Ideal.
I think
I don't
we need to
know
put
nothing
that
about
statement at the bottom about we reserve the right
We'll
to.
just say we have the right. to
Because,
do it.
believe it or not, a lot of people have paint cans in the basement,
What I
projects
found,
20 years
I
ago.
actually haven't.
You can put sand in it too.
what I found.
Yeah, sand, kitty litter.
You have to open the paint cans and leave them open for at least 2 weeks before you can dump them.
I bet it's longer than that to really dry one out,
Mhm.
depending on how much is
Depends
in
on the
there.
humidity.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a first by Bills, a second by Freida. Any other further discussion? If not, roll call.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes.
right off,
Yes.
Hebrink.
Yes.
Number 14 is resolution 2025-68 for the purchase of a 3/4 ton pickup, a 1-ton pickup, and a dump truck for the street department. Then the others will be repurposed to the park and cemetery departments. Chris?
So Chris is here. We gave you the cheapest bids, which were both from in town at the Chrysler dealer for the 3/4 and the 1-ton. We kind of left it up to you guys to decide about the flatbed. which we gave you the two options of either steel or aluminum. Chris spoke to that guy today and wants to explain that there's some additional stuff that's included in the $8,300 more expensive one that really makes it only about $1,000 gap. So you wanna explain that to start?
Yeah, we kind of talked about, right now, the one we have is steel, and of course they rust worse because we use the first cells for everything else. So I checked on the aluminum and it was $2,667 difference. But then I did some more research and I found out they were including $1,000 light bar for the safety lights for the top of the truck and wiring into the cab. And then they were gonna move the camera from the tailgate of the factory box onto the back of the flatbed. So when you take that off, the difference really is $1,067. So then I talked to him later on today. And he said, actually, he could move us up into a heavier duty of the aluminum one that is heavily rated when he found out what we were doing, and he's gonna leave the price the same. He's not gonna increase the price.
So that being said, Chris, I mean, if we went with their steel, I mean, wouldn't that just be more durable to begin with? And what's the advantage of going with aluminum at all?
Rust. That corrosion,
So it'll just rust out real quick then.
the steel rusts a lot quicker than aluminum.
But, and is that a concern on that vehicle?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we use it for, is that salt spreader.
Okay.
Most of the time in the
I
winter.
see,
From the
I see,
cemetery
I
and
see.
Harbor Street.
So knowing that it's really more like $1,000 when you look at the upgrades and the fact that it should last longer with aluminum, I would say that we would recommend going with the aluminum flatbed.
How many times have we used the current one that we had?
The salt spreader,
Yeah,
I do all the cemetery and then I do all the alleys.
so we didn't really have that bad of a winter. I mean.
But we spread it if we have warnings.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got the sander and everything.
Yeah.
We just,
Just feels like our winters are getting really short.
so
Don't
just keep
jinx
thinking
us.
that.
You know what I
By the
mean?
time
You know what I
think
mean?
that,
So I mean,
we'll be
I'm trying to just, no offense, I know you did the work. I'm just trying to justify it because it's like we just haven't had very long winters. And I'm just trying to justify it in my head.
It's hard, cause even if even if it happens 3 times a winter, people aren't gonna be like, oh, sorry, we
Or
had
we
a
get 2 bad weeks again like what we had.
couple years ago.
A lot of times we'll have that on too, and like when we break down the other trucks to haul snow, we have that sander and then we'll go hit slick spots and stuff after the big
Yeah.
snows, so.
I didn't know if that
Pretty darn
extra
neat.
weight, going with the steel, but extra weight, does it help with plowing the roads and?
Well, usually if
Compared to
we got the
aluminum?
plow on that truck, we have the sander on it, so
Okay.
to carry the extra weight, so the mouse truck, so.
So as far as the resolution goes, we've listed out both the steel or the aluminum. And what did you say is the difference?
Recommending the aluminum. For
Yes,
the
is
8,000.
it,
It would be the $8,312. So the total would be, and I would just, when you sign it, I'll delete it. So the deletion would be the 61,000.
Mhm.
And the one that you would pick if you agree to the aluminum flatbed is 64,364.
Are we
Okay.
trading in anything?
What?
No,
No.
They're both, one's
Cemetery
going to the
park.
park and one's going to the
Okay.
cemetery.
So
We're just,
we'll get rid of those, which
we're
are.
doing this to move things up a little sooner so they don't get trucks that are. so
Is that the
bad.
1985 dump truck that we're getting rid of?
That was because we got the cemetery at dump.
Okay.
And this dump truck that we're talking about next may not be here for over a year. But if we don't order it, it may literally not be in the budget that's gonna start in a month. Right? There's a chance.
got it.
But if we don't order it, we don't get it, and then there's tariffs and various things that they're talking about.
I'll move to approve the 3/4 ton, 1 ton dump truck purchase for the street department.
And the dump truck,
And the
Yes,
difference-
and with the aluminum body.
but there's 3 trucks,
That's-
There's
Yeah.
3.
all 3.
I just said that, yeah.
The one is a full-size dump truck, to replace a 1999
Yep.
Chevy Kodiak.
No, 1999, yeah.
Mhm.
It's time.
Okay, so bills
I'll second it.
and heat brake. Any other further discussion? Roll call.
Bill,
Yes.
right off,
Yes.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Bradley.
Yes.
All right, number 15 is resolution 2025-69, the approval to hire Henson Construction to do asphalt, Henningsen,
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 Atlantic.
to do asphalt, be our asphalt contractor for street repairs on 7th and Oak Streets, 6th and Corning Streets. the alley north of Corning Street between Fourth and Fifth Street, Coolbaugh, Boundary Streets, Bluegrass Road, and North Fourth and Boundary Streets.
And being clear, these are patches. These are not like we're asphalt
We're not-
the whole road for.
Yeah, these are patches.
Just who we've used for before.
Henningson's done, we have different ones, but
Okay.
this is, I reached out to several, and this is the only one that got back to me. They did some small patches for me last fall, and they're gonna actually do the one on Bluegrass Road for the railroad at the same time they're in town.
Good,
That's totally separate, that's another one on Bluegrass Road that I've got on there, so.
yeah, and it won't exceed $80,000,
So
so.
Chris, why can't we do these ourselves? Why do we have to hire them?
That'd be cool.
So we can't do any asphalt patching?
Potholes and stuff with coal patch, but these are mill jobs, they come in and mill.
Oh, they'll mill it down?
They'll
Or
mill
they
it
patch
down
it
and
nice?
relay these.
Okay.
Cause some of these are 100 by 20, I got 2 or 3 that
I
are
see.
100 by 20, and then that one.
I'm not familiar with some of these. I probably drive over them all the time, just don't pay attention.
I feel like
They got
everybody
the worst
knows,
spots. So,
everybody knows the one on Fourth Street.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, the one on
By the
Fourth.
church.
But it'll be nice to have that many done.
And they will be able to call in the key. We were trying to get them in the fall and they didn't make it, and they will come in the next 2 weeks. which
We
is
got,
why
how are we paying for it? We got the money in the budget for this.
Combination, I think there's probably half of it from road use, and then we'll see what's left of the year and or perhaps a little bit out of the leftover.
Hey, Chris, how are we coming with that one boat by Chautauqua Park? There that goes across the road.
That's on our agenda, that was the one over the hill, so.
Yeah, because those have been sitting
Yep.
for a bit.
So,
I know you just added rock onto it
Yep.
lately.
so,
Is that gonna get done this summer then?
it'll get done here in the next 30 days,
Awesome.
that's, we've got 2 on the agenda, those.
Okay, I will motion to approve.
Bradley,
I'll second.
Bills. Any other further discussion? Roll call.
Bill,
Yes.
right off,
Yes.
Hebring,
Yes.
Bradley.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Chris.
you.
Appreciate you being here. Number 16, resolution 2025-70, approval of process to fill the vacant Ward 1 council member position. Lisa did include our ordinances, also, basically the council has 2 choices. One is to make an appointment, which we would have to advertise for with a deadline of July 1. And then that appointment would be made July 7th, or hosting a special election, which it's more costly and it takes a longer time to get that done, so.
What would be if we did that, what would be the very soonest we could have that?
So I think I didn't have time to research it last week with everything that was going on. So that's why I said, if you want to have an election, then I need to get more information. If you're gonna do the ad, we can proceed tonight. But I can tell you that, in my last city, we had a special election and it was $3,500 in a town half this size. So I think the other thing that I don't know about is if you decide, like, you're supposed to act within 60 days. So then there's also something called a blackout period where you cannot have elections before elections.
Mhm.
And so what I don't know is if there would somehow be that by the time everything happened and you gave everybody enough time to like circulate, get on the ballot, advertise the election, have it, if then it becomes the blackout period and you have to wait till the November election anyway. I don't know how that works, and so it's gonna take a lot more legal advice, which I just didn't have time to do, but I at least wanted you. Most city councils tend to move towards appointment.
So if that were the case, we basically finish out the year with just 4 council members.
Would it finish up the term?
Our
You still
fiscal year.
appoint somebody.
Fiscal year.
But if we were gonna do an election, basically we just finish out this year, pretty much. We're gonna do a special.
I don't know, but you can also appoint and someone
I'm
else could
aware.
come
Yeah.
forward and do the election,
Yeah.
and then the person sits to the
Yeah,
election.
I'm aware.
The state just passed 2 new bills around elections and special elections, so that I'm not sure if they go into effect July 1 or not.
You know what's in them?
I do, but I don't have it with me. I
Summarize.
shared them.
It's not changing this law though,
Okay,
I don't think.
I
So it won't affect this at all.
don't think so. I don't.
You know, I think we should appoint someone personally. I think we should just put out and advertise for applications and appoint. That would be my recommendation.
I'm along with you on that.
I agree with that.
Okay. So,
So if that's the case, then you can move for this
resolution,
7025-70. I have the ad in there and then it would go in the paper next week.
there's the resolution and the ad.
And then you'll have like a application form up at City Hall ready. to
I
go.
just thought there should be a letter of intent submitted.
Letter of intent.
Type of their own letter, say why they're interested,
And they can-
what experience they have, and then obviously all the people who submit get presented to the council.
This should publish then on June 11th as the legal published item. And it does spell out for anyone interested how to submit.
And we have a deadline of July
Deadline
1.
is July 1 to be appointed on July 7th.
And if they're here, you would just swear them in right away, and if for some reason they're not there, then they would come on the 21st.
Okay. All right, so if you're all in agreement with that, I need someone to make an approval of that.
Motion,
Yes,
so moved.
Bills,
I'll second.
Bradley? Okay, any other further discussion? Roll call.
Right off,
Yes.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
okay, Bills,
Yes,
Okay, number 17 is ordinance 2025-10, use of the right of way for community events. This is the second of 3 readings. Basically giving our city administrator and our chief of police the authority to make those decisions on things where we're asked to either use right of way for certain things or for special events, junction days, things like that. Close the street for things.
we already talked about this last time.
Yes, we did.
I'll move to approve second reading.
I'll second.
All right, bills and write-off. Roll call.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes,
right off,
Yes.
Number 18, this is the third and final reading of the ordinance 2025-08 for farm animals ordinance regulation, which we have modified and it is the third and final reading.
I'll move to approve that reading.
Okay, Friedel
Second.
and Bradley. Roll call.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills,
yes,
right off,
Yes.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Now, number 19 is resolution 2025-64. This is to set the amount for the farm animal fee to $35.
and we talked about that last time as well, correct?
Correct.
Mhm.
So I'll make that motion.
Bills,
I'll second it.
Hebrink. Any further discussion?
Remember, this will lift the moratorium also. Remember, just so that
Yes.
we didn't have people blocking in when you're trying to figure it out.
So this will lift that
To
moratorium.
lift the
Yeah, so
moratorium.
in the resolution that has the fee, there's a statement in here that says this ends the moratorium.
Okay,
My motion still stands.
all right. Well, Bills and Hebrink, roll call.
Bills,
Yes,
right off,
Yes.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Number 20 is ordinance 2025-09. This is regarding the tree contractor license ordinance. Again, this is the third and final reading. We did hear from Karen Blue. I don't know if that changes your amount, your thought on amounts. There will be a resolution to follow, and that is what will set the fee. So the fee is not necessarily set in this ordinance. So
I'd say vote on that and then we can
I think
discuss.
vote on the ordinance, then we can discuss that.
You'll recall the one thing that the contractors talked about was the inland marine, and we did
Yes.
eliminate that. That was their biggest concern, so.
Yeah.
so I did receive a couple of calls, and I think the main concern was that people were not gonna be able to trim their own trees or have a friend come over and trim their trees. And we addressed that last time, so I know that unless it's in a right of way or a street tree, then you can do your own work as far as I understand. Is that correct?
As long as you're not paying them.
Okay.
They're your friend, you don't pay them.
I worry that this will limit competition that will come into our town.
Pardon me?
It'll limit competition that'll come into our town. Meaning, we have 3 main providers. Would you agree with all that? 3, we got 3. But we also have some people that from other towns that would like to come in there. We have a lot of trees. We have some of our guys in town that are getting pretty expensive. And if we can find somebody from out of town, but they don't wanna pay that one-time fee.
But the reason we're licensing these people is so we make sure they have proper insurance and they have workman's compensation and that
Yeah.
they're liable for any damage that they might,
We're doing it for the betterment of the citizens.
to protect,
And-
not only to
and-
protect
and
other
our-
people's property, but to protect our right of ways as well.
Yes, and I agree with that part. I just worry that we have so many trees that the cost to take down trees is so expensive. So we're constantly, I mean, I want to do business locally, but sometimes it's pretty darn expensive for trees.
Well, anybody can come in here and get a permit to drop trees as long as they're qualified and licensed.
To put it in perspective, think about how much less money you make on food than you do for trees. To get an annual license for a food person, it's $100. Like trees and food, like I'm buying a hot dog at the Weenie Wagon. And to have an annual permit, you charge $100. And then when you think about like the severity of the tree, safety, they're in our streets, like saying that the $200, and what I can say is that our two main providers did not have any like, they did not complain about the fee.
I think the main thing here is the liability of the city. And that's one reason we're doing it. It's on the city right of way, and to bring in out of town people, they need to be licensed and permit. Just like any contractor that does business with us.
So
So here's my question though. So let's say somebody comes in town though, how do we police it? How do we police that?
Do the best that we can, just like food licenses. So I saw that the hospital had their thank you celebration week where they had a food truck every day. And I saw it on Facebook and they didn't have one food truck. So I started calling Ron, got a hold of somebody else. Some of them started calling, and I literally saw it on Friday. I got them all licensed.
Yeah.
Like, I just think like between city crews, you know, like maybe they don't for the first time, but like everybody's kind of on alert and they pay attention, and then we just nicely contact them and say, hey, if you want to keep doing business, then we just need you to get licensed, and we're not gonna, you know, we're not writing you a ticket because you didn't know, but if you want to keep going, then we.
And they can also, one thing I look at is they can also take that and pass that expense on to their customers too, to make that
And
back.
promote their, you know, if you wanna come and.
And we are putting those people that have paid on a list to let them know that,
Yes,
so they can get business too,
so that's
correct?
a little bit.
Yeah, like we can, like, as we continue to add to these things, just like the garbage haulers, like now that they're all gonna be licensed. We'll have a page that says, hey, this is who's licensed in our community, so they get a level of advertising on their applications that said, how do you want this to be? So when we do the tree thing, we can also have a tree page that says, you know, under residents, like learn about trees, make sure that you use someone who's licensed, because we license people, here's who's currently licensed in the city.
So it is advertising for them.
So right now, our call to action is the approval of the ordinance, and then the next will be the fee. So let's get through the ordinance first, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance.
Okay, Bradley,
Second.
right off. Any further discussion on the ordinance itself? With none being heard, roll call.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
right off.
Yes.
All right, now, 21 is resolution 2025-66, tree contractor license fee in the amount of $200.
I'm also looking at, I'm trying to look up quick, is peddlers licenses, which I believe is also significant. You know, it's not much out of line with what we're doing right now.
I think it's very similar to the food truck, if I recall.
So I got a call from Karen Blue as well on the amount of the money charged here and I don't feel like it's out of line. I feel like the $200 is reasonable.
To put it in perspective, 1 week to be a peddler in our town is $150. 1 week. $500 for a year for a peddler, if you wanna have a peddler's license and go door to door.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, you know, this is, yeah. I don't feel like this is out of line. I mean, what are we charging our trash haulers?
500.
And, you know, the
Yeah.
tree haulers, I mean, part of the reason we charge the trash haulers, what we do is because of the wear and tear on our roads with their heavy trucks. Tree haulers are the same way. You know, they're hauling heavy loads through our town, they're hauling heavy equipment through our town, so. You know, I once again, I really don't feel like the $200 is out of line.
Well, and we also have a place for them to dump it too.
That's true. That's true.
I feel like that's a really big bonus for them.
Yeah, that's true.
And a lot of towns don't
A
let
lot of
commercial
towns do
people
not
dump. like
have
we don't.
that. They're expected to have their own place to dump and get rid of them, where we provide that for free.
Okay,
I'll move to approve the licensing fee.
for 200.
Yep.
Bills,
I'll second.
right off. Any other further discussion on the fee?
I feel like if a company was from out of town comes in here, they have everything, they can make that $200 up quickly.
Okay.
I think they'll charge that onto their customer.
One of the things we could consider, since it's not by code, is kind of like you do for peddlers and stuff. If it starts to become an issue where somebody just wants to come in once in a while, like we could do a smaller fee for a smaller amount of time. Just play it, you can always add that to a resolution, see what happens.
Like a 1 day fee
But I
or,
don't think we should make any additional unusual circumstances. I think it should be a flat fee or a smaller fee. That's my feeling. I don't think it's fair to the bigger tree, people to let somebody else in for a smaller amount. So I would agree with the $200.
Okay, so I have a first and a second. Roll call.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
right off,
Yes.
Hebring,
no,
Right, number 22 is resolution 2025-67. This is a fund transfer for the fiscal year 2025. Lisa did send that to us in an email. Do you want to go over those or can you?
I unfortunately,
Didn't bring it.
I couldn't print because we were printing bills.
I looked at it. I
So
looked through
there's,
it.
the main things are, and we had just, these are all reflective of what you already approved in the budget amendment.
Yeah.
It's just that you usually have a specific motion to be able to approve those. And so we're moving franchise fee money to help with the general fund. We're moving lost money to move, to do that. The two utilities always pay what's called a payment in lieu of taxes. So because they don't pay taxes, they pay the general fund. So that's every year at 35 per utility. And then the two debt payments where water and sewer are also expected to pay a portion of the general funds or general obligation debt. And those were one of the things that had gotten forgotten. So those all add up.
So you'll update a resolution with all those amounts on it.
It's just the spreadsheet that I
Yeah,
sent isn't gonna, it says in the resolution attached as exhibit A.
Yes, got it.
So it'll be, when you sign it, it'll be behind the resolution, that's all.
Okay,
I move to approve the resolution.
right off.
I'll second.
Bradley. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Bill,
Yes.
right off,
Yes.
Hebring,
yes,
Bradley.
Yes.
Number 23 is resolution 2025-71. This is to establish the wages for Aaron Lorette at $23.69 as the lab technician for the wastewater department. And also for Scott Gass for $27.81 as the new assistant wastewater manager. So congratulations to both of those gentlemen for the promotions. That's awesome.
didn't one of them get another certificate?
So Scott has two. He's got a operator 1 and 2, wastewater operator 1 and 2, and Aaron has wastewater operator 1. But he is overseeing all of the lab.
Yeah.
And in the agenda, I know how to spell Aaron's name, but autocorrect likes to do things on Friday nights. So when we do the resolution, it'll just changing Aaron's name to ARR.
Well, these wages are in line with their certification, so I would agree that we approve the resolution.
Okay, Bradley
I'll second it.
and Bills.
Yep, and I just want to throw out there that, I couldn't be more pleased with the leadership and what's going on down at our wastewater department. And much thanks to, Mr. Clint Rowland for helping these gentlemen along with their training and getting all that taken care of. So kudos to Clint, as well as these two gentlemen.
Yes. Okay. Roll call.
Right off,
Yes.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
All right. Number 24 is update on the tax lien collection efforts. We have collected $45,257.20. We did indeed lien $16,439.59. And of course, this was with 100 letters Lisa and the team sent out. And of that, I would say that 45,000 out of 61 is pretty significant to get that collected, so good effort,
Yeah,
Just-
kudos to you and your team as well.
definitely.
Yeah.
So
So
the,
again, remember, that's like not something that we used to do, so.
yes,
You have to send the letter, you say in 30 days, if you don't pay, it'll be a lien. And it ended up to be, I think, 35-ish properties, which doesn't seem to
Yeah.
be too common either in the entire county.
Well, this will pay for that truck we just bought.
was the county treasurer okay with it?
How many years back was that?
So this was only the current people, because remember when we did this, that you decided that we weren't gonna lien anybody like a tenant that was gone
Mm-hmm.
with a landlord. And so we have, next up, when we find time, is gonna be about 800 people that'll go to the state set-off program. Yeah. So more to come.
$187,000 of delinquent bills. Thank you.
And-
That is, it's taken a lot of effort on your part, but it's very much appreciated,
And this is all money that's owed to the citizens of the community of Red Oak, Iowa.
basically.
Yep.
You know, obviously, we have a lot of changes, so we're having a lot of conversations at City Hall. People not really understanding why we're being more aggressive with regard to collections, and we've tried to explain to people that the way that we were doing things in the past created an environment where we have $180,000 in delinquent bills because we were very lackadaisical, and then allowing people to let the bill go longer and longer. It just means that we are that much further behind. And then I've also explained to people that we have a high rental population, which obviously also allows us to become unable to collect money. Like, you can't believe how many people are still, like, we have a utility bill that's still in their name, and the post office sends us a little yellow sticker on their postcard that says they don't live there anymore, but yet they haven't even transferred the bill out of their name. So we're just raking up a bill. People don't even think to call us.
And we still have operating expenses, so this is a portion of why our tax levies are high, because we've not collected money that we've had owed to us. So,
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far. I mean, our tax levies are high because of our depressed property values.
this is true. I mean, you're absolutely right, but I'm just saying it is one more little piece of the pie that we're now at least collecting, so. All right, anything else on that? All right, number 25 is the discussion on the demolition of 5 city-owned properties. Static to see that that is going forward. We've had a couple of these on this list. Janice was on the council at the time. And Lisa did identify and found out that with the asbestos abatement is not required by the city to have to do that as a part of the process now, right? So
Been
that's
an
actually
EPA
gonna save
exemption.
us.
Nobody at SWPCO, I guess, knew about.
So are you telling me that these houses that have asbestos siding on them, there's no abatement required on that now?
If we take the house with court action as a nuisance, no. So my last process with abatement was, my last community, we bought 3 lots and 2 houses that we were using for what the EPA would call a project. We were taking them down and we built the library there. So when you're doing it for those types of purposes, then yes, you have to. But if you take the property by court action and it is taken down because it is a nuisance and a problem in the neighborhood, then you are not required
Required to
to
do
abate the
anything.
asbestos.
What happens to that asbestos material?
Goes into the landfill like regular garbage,
Oh
like just,
my,
well, every other house that you take down as a resident gets to do the same thing.
Mhm.
That is a city standard that no individual people are required to do.
wow,
Mhm.
wow. That's shocking to me.
Well, what it is though, is if you think about that, if people are doing it,
Mhm.
because if we sell the house to someone
Mhm.
and if we sell the lot and they take it down, the same thing would happen.
Yeah.
And so it's saying to a city, to the taxpayers,
I
Yes.
thought private citizens had to
Absolutely
obey by
not.
the asbestos
Absolutely
abatement
not.
laws as well.
no, cities
No,
do.
they tear it down.
Wow, really?
So
Wow.
it's basically saying that we go under the same rules as a regular citizen when the only reason that we're taking it is because it is trashed?
News to me.
Court order.
Nobody knew
Wow.
in Montgomery,
So how did that information come about?
because I called because of 305 East Market.
Well, there's a couple of them that are covered in asbestos siding that
No,
are
that's not,
abandoned.
no, let me finish. 305 East Market is where the gentleman from probation and parole fell through the floor.
Yes.
When you normally have to do your asbestos abatement, I would have to advertise, well, they do through SWIPCO, we get the grant. But you advertise, someone goes in there and assesses it. And then they come back and abate it. And so I emailed Mel from the DNR and said, I'm not sending anybody in there. So my fear was the opposite, which was going to be, as I haven't been in communities where we take houses down for nuisance, so this is new to me. So I emailed them and I said, there's no way we're letting somebody go on that property. So one thought that I had was they're gonna make us pay asbestos on the whole pile of rubble instead of just the asbestos. So that was a risk that we took by not doing it. But I said, there's no way somebody can go in there safely. And he said, did you take it by court action and a nuisance? Then you're exempt. So he gave me all the paperwork, which I've now submitted to SWIPCO. And they've been paying on behalf of all the cities in the land of SWIPCO as well.
Well, that will certainly clear the way for demolishing some of these derelict houses.
It'll allow more funds. for
Which really,
just
when you
the
think about it,
housing
it's
demo.
fair.
Yeah,
Because
it
we,
is.
if we're taking it for the purposes of public good
No, I
to build.
I just
You
didn't
know.
realize there was
What
any,
about buildings?
No, I didn't realize this either. Well, like, for example, then, like with the Community Catalyst Grant, if they get funds from the state, they cannot abate the.
But again, that's
asbestos
for
themselves.
development. This
It's
is because
different.
we're taking it down.
as a
This is
nuisance.
because
And if you
it's a
took like a
nuisance.
whole block, it doesn't count, but I said we have 3 houses, you know, that we just got a grant for, they're all in different areas, we took them by court action.
Mhm.
Said you are exempt.
Okay. What are
So-
the other two?
So the other 2 are on Fourth Avenue, 205 and 405, they're a block apart from each other. And they're not on our grant list because we could only apply for so many, but they're both single stories. And I want to get a price, but I wanted to make sure you're supportive. Like, I think again, as our effort to clean up. And especially if we know that we're gonna save not having to do asbestos, I want to at least have your blessing to get a price.
Yes.
And then depending on what it is, we'll come back. The 3 will have to go through SWIPCO. I have an email out to them. To be able to see what our timeline is for there, because that. We have a lot of city employees that are working on these properties. We're trying to clean them up. We've taken a fence down on one. We have a camper and a vehicle on one. The entire backyard of 305 East Market, and that house is literally at risk of falling on top of a neighboring house.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to get going, and I want to try and get a price on those other 2. Those would be the 5 that we own. The only 5 lots that we own that actually have structures on them would be these 5. So 3, we would get help. And then we have the cheapest 2, hopefully, that they're both single story, both have basements though. So I had the staff out there, we looked at them last week, so I'd like to at least get a price and then report back.
And we will have demoed over 25 homes in the last 3.5
How do they
years.
fill basements? Do they bring dirt?
They usually just have to crush in the walls and then they fill in.
And they
Well,
fill in
we're
with
not
outside dirt?
supportive of
Guess what?
doing
We have a
away
lot
with
of dirt.
property valuations.
But I mean,
These
they don't fill
properties
the
Needed to
existing
come down.
No,
debris
no,
from
you
the
cannot.
house.
No,
Not allowed.
Take that off and they fill in
And-
with dirt, okay.
They're not even supposed to push the block and stuff in there. They're supposed to haul that.
The only thing that should stay is the basement floor.
Asbestos in the basement. and
Pardon me?
There's a lot of asbestos in basements in the pipes.
But those-
With the steam, in
Yeah.
old steam pipes, but,
And with
The only thing that usually stays when I was talking to Justin about it was the floor.
yeah, and if they
Mhm.
poke a hole through the floor, then there's no issue there for
right.
water retaining or anything.
Biggest thing is capping everything off at the curb. Water and gas.
Excellent. More progress.
Yeah, that's good news actually about the
Yep.
asbestos.
Yep.
Shocking, but good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yes, definitely good.
That's expensive.
It is. Number 26 is discussion on the 2025 Mayor's Design Project idea with Iowa State University. Their experts will be here in town tomorrow from 1 to 4. We're meeting with them to basically give them a tour of the Red Oak Creek and talk to them, as you've probably read in your packet. We're looking at how this organization will work with students to put together a plan for how we can potentially clean up Red Oak Creek. But then also, I knew you'd be ecstatic. And then the other part would be how to potentially look at identifying some ways to fund some home improvements to homes in the floodplain area. Do you wanna
So
expand
they
on
had
that?
asked us to do a couple of ideas. I came up with those two. Once the mayor got word, kind of thought maybe they would be two separate projects, but they said that they're close enough in like their purpose and goals that they thought they could actually do both. So they're gonna meet with us tomorrow, take them around, well, unless it's like a monsoon rain, if it's supposed to be, but look at the creek. And then I just think, like, we have this USDA program that we talked about. We have the $100,000 that we talked about for spending on low to moderate income TIF money.
Mhm.
So is there a way for them to help us figure out ways to promote programs that are outside of our community for people to take advantage of? You know, how do you get people to sign up for those? Do you do some sort of an analysis on like the core part of town that's in the floodplain that has depressed values? You know, maybe there's an itinerary of the houses. The other thing is if they're in the floodplain, of course, that you can only spend 50% of the value of it until you have to then bring it into compliance with the floodplain. So you could, my vision is, you know, there's a couple hundred properties, here's the value of them, this is how much each one can spend to keep it below that threshold, and then be able to look at like, you know, if the house is only worth 20,000 and you can spend 10, what could you do? If the house is worth 75 and you can spend, you know, 37.50,
So
whatever it
what's the
is.
lot line setback for, Red Oak Creek? I mean, how far does a property owner own to the bank?
I
They,
believe
they
they
own
own
right
to
to
the
the middle of
middle.
the creek.
Yeah, they own right to
State
the
of my
creek.
Creek.
So we did, I think, put an overlay in the comp plan on, around the creek so that we could, kind of protect that area, but for any future development. But
That's why we've had trouble in the past doing anything there, is
What
because
I'd like to see is start in phases. I think it's the most important thing to do in phases, because, you know, you can't do it, but just to have a plan. And now that they're doing the bridge down there,
Mhm.
you know, on 48.
Yep.
Might give.
Well, hopefully
be a good
this
place
will
to
be
start.
exactly what we need for that. Help get
Yeah.
something rolling.
So we'll report back after the kids are here tomorrow with their professors.
All right. And then there will be an event July 9th and 10th in Ames that I will be participating in. So. Alrighty. Number 27 is discussion on the full page utility bills and printing and mailing service.
So we had a little unexpected thing happen today. So, on Friday, we printed the utility bills and I worked on them all weekend for a couple things. One, we have a new due date and there's no way to highlight on these postcards the due date. So we hand highlighted with a yellow highlighter, 3,000 utility bills, where it says the ACH payment is now coming out on the 15th and the due date. So we spent time doing that. We also put mailing labels on saying that the cleanup was the 20th and 21st. And then the last thing, as I spent time looking at every bill, and I started to see trends in the bills that weren't right. And so, because the software people were closed all weekend, there was nothing I could do until this morning. So we figured out, I created a list of like a fairly big number of, so part of what the issue was that every parcel in the past had the $2.90 recycling. And it never mattered if you were commercial or residential. But then when we did the $4 addition starting this month, now we've separated the waters and commercial people are only getting charged $2.90 because they're not bringing their business trash to this event. And then $6.90. So as I'm watching houses, there were houses that had 0, houses that had $2.90, and houses that had $6.90. And so we either had to mail the bills out a day later or mail them out incorrect. The other thing that happened was there were bills, and we knew this last month, but we couldn't figure it out, that say it said you owed $40, but when you looked at the line items that printed on the postcard, it was $35, somewhere around there. So what it was that one of the line items just wasn't printing. So if we bring your account up, if you're one of those people on the screen, we can see that it adds up in the bill that you owe, the amount that you owe is correct. There's a printing issue. So we went through the day, got everything corrected. I had to basically fix 500 accounts today, just manually, because what it was the kind of customer that they were. So somehow there were 215 customers that were listed as out of town people, which is why they had 0. And it's all about, it didn't matter before, like somehow these things, you know, when you think about bringing 4,000 accounts from one world to another, conversion is not perfect. And it all kind of came to light when we charged the extra $4 because now, like I said, the seas have parted and people are treated differently depending on the customer. So anyway, so we corrected the 500. And then right before I got here, we were trying to print on the postcards. And the problem with postcards is if you think about, I just ripped yours out because we brought them here. But you have all this stuff that's pre-printed on here. The blue and the red is on a pre-printed sheet of paper. And it is unbelievable to try and fit a little number in the exact same spot on the box that it has to be there. So it prints and it's like in the wrong spot and it's not saying what's due. So we tried all afternoon to try and get them to print. It's the software people saying it's the printer people. You know, they printed before, it should have never changed. And so we have got to get these out tomorrow. We have probably 4 pool employees and 3 part-time library people coming over to help us in the morning. And so I had to make an executive decision that we were either gonna have to wait another day or I printed them on paper. So even though we weren't expecting to, the only way to get those bills out tomorrow is we went with a full sheet of paper. So they're on 8.5 by 11.
Yeah.
The really good thing, if any of you have e-billing, I don't know if you do, but if you have e-billing, you see what the bill looks like. It's so much better. The messages can be better. Instead of right now, there's only so much space on the postcard. So right now, the way we charge for water is you have your base fee, whether you use water or not, for $9.38 and $11.43 for sewer. And then you have what's called your usage. Well, because our space is so limited, those get blobbed together. When you use a piece of paper, it can say water base, water usage, sewer base, sewer usage, all those line items. And so we have, in the morning, they will all be going out. So obviously the cost is higher for postage. We pay a little bit more on the postage because the postcard is cheaper. But so I had to make a decision on that. The question,
How much more?
well, it's probably, well, I have to, so tomorrow we're gonna have to send them out at the full stamped price because we can't get our
You have to
permit.
put them in an envelope too, then.
Yes. So you have the envelope.
Do you have an envelope machine to stuff those?
Well, that's the point of, when I look at all the things that we're trying to do better, like it is gonna cost more and I'm starting to get prices, but I want to at least make you aware, like, to me, there's things that we can invest that cost more that are wasteful, and there's things that we can do that make efficiency. And so if you look at how much time our day in the course of the month is consumed with all those changes, some communities will send it to a printer, they print it, fold it, stuff it, mail it. So that's what I'm getting prices on. So for tomorrow, we will be folding them, we will be stuffing them, licking them and stamping.
How many of those blank postcards do we have that'll just go to waste?
Probably 1 month, 2 months maybe.
And I would imagine that a piece of paper and an envelope wouldn't be much more expensive than that pre-printed postcard for, actually for buying
The colors and
material.
everything on it.
Got the net stamps too. Got those.
Plus,
And
this
plain
gives us an
numbers.
opportunity if we have something we ever want to stick in the mailer.
Oh, that's a good
So if we
point.
want to do even a 1-page newsletter quarterly.
So that's the other
we could
thing, like
certainly
if we
do
were
that.
doing this flyer and this was super important to us, instead of just sticking a mailing label on there. You know, we don't have time for that right now, but that's part of the price that I got was, how much is it to do a 2-sided color insert to the bill and to be able to send it along.
It would be nice to know the difference in the mailing price, because that's gonna be that's gonna be a
Well, what I-
month thing.
Yeah, so it's 50 some odd cents right now for the postcard. A normal stamp is 79 cents. And then what I don't know, because we don't mail anything out bulk in real envelopes, so it's somewhere 10 to 20%, 10 to 20 cents more. Again, all I can tell you is this is my second time preparing these postcards. And it is super
a pain.
inefficient.
is.
And you can't even message people anything. Like everybody's blowing up Facebook about the due date and how we don't tell people.
Yeah.
And like the only way to tell people is to change the due date. And then we wrote on here, auto pay, do not pay, you know, like there's just
Yeah,
You're talking about $600 a month, basically.
divided by 2 utilities. You know, and you can charge a little bit to storm, a little bit to garbage, a little bit to water, and sewer obviously would get the biggest chunk of it. And I'm not encouraging a waste of what I think is money, but we are not able to get the work done at City Hall that we need because of the mass quantities of things that have to be fixed.
So people can elect to do paperless though. I mean, we
We're
have.
really trying to encourage it, but people
Yeah.
are kind of funny, like they.
Yeah.
And the other thing is postcards get lost. Envelopes rarely
I
do.
got somebody's water bill last week, I think.
Yeah, but they all stick
They
together.
stick together.
There's gonna be, if we change it though, there's gonna be a few of those lost, just people won't recognize it as being their bill.
Well, it does say city of, we'll have to do some posts that say,
Yeah.
be watching for an envelope.
Mhm.
So like I said, we've got to get these out by 2 o'clock tomorrow, so we're gonna have 8 AM. For those of you that are retired or on summer break, if you'd like to come and help in the morning. Soon we'll do that.
Okay,
So I will bring back prices for us to make a permanent decision, but.
temporary, that's what's gonna, got it.
It's just not good.
Well, it's one of those efficiency things, and I like the idea of the flexibility it gives us too, for doing some of the things we wanna do.
Communicate better.
Yep.
That's all I got.
All right, number 28 is upcoming council meeting. Our regular meeting will be June 16th. Number 29 is reports. Do we have a city administrator report?
I haven't even had time to think of my report. I'm working.
We
Yes.
just got it.
Yes.
think you gave it
I think you
right
did.
there.
Yep.
Everything that's on the agenda is what I've been working on.
There you go.
Yes. Mayor report, I think my biggie is just this meeting that we're having tomorrow. And then Lisa's also been filling in, trying to watch all these videos about what we have to do with this grant. And I think we're moving forward on the grant with,
We have stuff to turn in by Friday, and then after that, we'll do the RFP for who we're gonna hire. to
yes.
help us.
You did the guard send off.
Oh, and we did the guard send off. I mean, there's a number of things we did. After it happens, I kind of forget. So, I will say that was an incredible event. I'm glad that everybody participated. It was a nice event. It was touchy-feely, a lot of great photos. KCSI have some really great photos, and KMA and everybody. So thank you for your reporting of that. I think, what's that?
Memorial Day.
Oh, and the Memorial Day service was also wonderful. I always like it better when it's outside because the flags are just so impressive. I can't wait for Lisa to see what that looks like when it's all done, because it's quite impressive. We just gotta have better weather. So,
And I'd like to say thank you to Brian, he was the chairman of the memorial service.
yes, he was. Thank you, Brian.
I didn't mess it up too bad.
He's the chair of the Court of Honor this year. How long does your term reign?
That's a 1-year thing.
Okay, got it.
Thanks for doing that.
Yes, thank you. All right, that's all I have. City council reports. Adam, you wanna start?
Trying to get Lisa names for people, for the kids that help. Got her a few names on that and just been working.
Good deal. All right, thank
Helping
you,
with
Adam.
watering when Brian leaves.
Yes.
Okay, Tim.
Lisa and I did meet with John Gross, as she mentioned earlier, about the citywide cleanup, so that was a very good discussion, I felt. Although I wasn't able to help with the flags, I was willing to be there. Bright and early, 5:15.
Okay,
Irene did not cooperate.
Yeah,
Brian.
it's too bad.
All right, well, of course, everybody knows about the Memorial Day service by now. I just want to put a huge thank you out to the Memorial Court of Honor and everybody, all the community citizens that just showed up to help that didn't get help. And then, of course, there's a lot of work that goes into finding and cleaning and locating all the sockets, the 1,600 and some sockets in the cemetery beforehand. So big shout out to those guys. And I also want to put a big shout out to the scouts. They're always there to help us. They put out their flags for all the veterans up there. And then, of course, they help us with our ceremony. So big thanks to the scouts. I attended the Hawkins Bridge dedication out on 250th Street. I attended the Trails Planning meeting with y'all that you forgot about. The guard send off, special council meeting. And that's it.
And county, I'm sure county.
Yeah, oh, the county
Supervisor meeting.
supervisor meeting, yep.
Okay, how about you, Sharon?
I attended the maid breakfast at the hospital for which honored the volunteers for the year. And Ron Claver had a nice, talk about the MD West that came here and everything that's going on in the hospital. So it's and it's our largest city employer. So I think we all need to be aware of what's going on at the hospital. I also, attended the special city meeting. The ambassadors met, last Wednesday. And they'll be, doing the flight breakfast again this year. And Brian always helps with that too.
I'm not gonna be here this year.
Oh, you're not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tragic.
Excellent.
And also the troop sent off, and I had a nephew that was sent off, and we had a lot of family members, and it was great. It was very impressive that Joni Earst came and talked, and that was her home base. National Guard memory. So it was, and thank you again for your speech also.
Thank you. And that was her, like our 20th anniversary of her send off to Kuwait. So very interesting. I did forget to mention that this Friday, the 6th, from 1 to 2:30, I'm hosting the Mayor's Community Leadership Roundtable at Southwest Community College. I invited about 20 community leaders. I did include all the city council and all the county supervisors on that, so we will need to drop something that we're maybe a quorum, possible quorum, but I've only had two people say they can attend so far, and I had one person say they cannot, so we'll see. The idea of that is really, I want to do this for the community leaders as stakeholders. I want to do one for industrial leaders, which in partnership with MCDC. I want to do one for like the social service groups and then also social service agencies, so that we can get a good pulse on what's happening with individuals and families and the services that we're providing. Look at what is happening with our workforce and our business and industry, look at from the community. And then this first one will be kind of going around the room and talking about what our organizations are doing and what our primary goals are right now, so that we can all be helping to promote each other, helping work together and build collaboration and unity. But the next piece of that is really identifying some of our critical or crucial conversations and being able to tap into some pretty extraordinary minds that we have in the community on maybe solving some of the issues that we have. Because, you know, we meet, but we really don't go into solving other specific issues. We have economic development and chamber that meet, but again, we have those board meetings. Are we able to get the people in the room that can actually really collaborate and solve some of these problems, working cooperatively together towards solving them? So that's the goal of this group. And then I do want to have some type of an update with regard to the Archer discussion about the animals. Obviously, you know how I feel about animals. I don't know the details of that. So I don't know if that needs to be an item on our next agenda or not, but
I don't know if that's an appropriate place, but I can tell you
Okay.
that we are the only place that picks up animals.
I know.
And there's a consequence to having to pick up animals. Like,
Yes.
it doesn't mean that,
We gotta keep one thing in mind.
Yeah.
When we put our nuisance officer out there to pick up any animal, we don't know if that animal is kind. We don't know if it's dangerous. So I mean, you have to use something to get that animal into the vehicle to transport it. Bad things happen, I'm sorry. But we just don't know. And I know the two gentlemen that spoke, I think highly of them. But they have to understand the city aspect of it. We have to keep our employees safe.
and again, like now people, you know, Pat saw that Facebook post and people are suggesting guns.
Yes.
So
And this, I have to comment that I'm discouraged by some of the negative comments on Facebook, and I just wish that people would be more kind and observant that, yes, we all have families. We are all doing our very best to serve. Our staff are doing their very best. We're all doing our very best, and people don't know the whole story about everything that they're posting on, just like with this particular situation. I know for a fact that the only thing you can technically use, I've had a woman call that was concerned about a very aggressive dog in her neighborhood. And the only thing that that person can do, technically, she can't shoot a pellet gun, she can't shoot, but she can mace. So maybe there was mace involved, who knows? But I'm just saying, people don't know the whole story. They don't know what we can and can't do. They don't know our parameters. And so when there's posts on Facebook that are uninformed, it's just really frustrating. I think you pick up the phone, you call Lisa, you call one of us, and we will get you the answer. And if it's something that we weren't aware of, at least then we know about it. So, you know, when people are looking at our community to move here and they see those comments, looks very poor on our community. And when people are looking for jobs and employers are looking at those Facebook pages, it also looks poorly on our people and on our community. So I would just say, for those that will stand behind us, or at least be a neutral voice. We would appreciate the neutral voices stepping forward too, because it is hard sometimes to digest some of the negativity. So thank you with that. Is there any other topics that we need for the next agenda?
I'm sure I'll have a whole slew, don't worry.
I'm sure you will. Well, again, Lisa, Ashley, staff, Chris, other staff that's here, we just appreciate all of the hard work. We know you guys are working extra and lots of overtime, trying to get this all done. You're pulling in other staff who are filling in, doing something that they don't normally do. Appreciate everyone's flexibility and ability to pitch in and be a part of the team, and that's huge. I still think we have a really awesome city staff and a city council, so I feel like we're doing really good, positive things, and we're getting a lot done, so I pat you guys on the back for all the work that you put in. Anybody else have anything? No? All right, that being said, 7:00.
7:00.
We adjourn. Right. It's a lot of an agenda. We got through a lot.
Not very. City.
Thanks, Karen. All right, I can't be on there.